What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Link LatinX. It is the second Tuesday of the month, and as usual, we are here to talk about life, the world, sexual health, and prevention from a Latin lens. I want to give a shout out to APLA Health and Pyro Media Network for this wonderful production that we have. Makes the show possible, and of course, a shout out to the wonderful CDC who gives us the ability to make all of this happen because they do what? They provide the check. So we don't want to forget them. Before we get into anything about what's going on today, I am one of your hosts, Daniel J., your favorite prevention training specialist with Swab N Chill, and I'm here with my wonderful co-hosts who shall introduce themselves. And let's start with Nigel.
Hi everyone, I'm the prevention training specialist for Project Impact and one of your co-hosts.
Come on.
Hello everyone, this is Roger Cediles, program manager of the substance abuse programs at APLA.
Hi, how's it going, everyone? My name is Carlos. I'm the prep navigator here at APLA Long Beach.
Awesome sauce. How y'all doing? What's going on? How was the weekend? What did you do?
I was in church all the time.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's the name of the place I went to. One of the places I went to. It's called the church. You didn't let me finish, but yeah, I did for like a whole afternoon, and it was fun. It's called Temple Nightclub. Really, is that what it's called? And so
worshiping at the
and it was amazing. And so, but I call it the church.
Well, I want to go to service. You ain't invite me to service. Do they do communion every first Sunday? What's going on?
Next time, I got you.
Okay, you got me. Well, today's episode is going to be very, very interesting. It's called National Barbecue Day with a Side of Club. Why? We're talking about Independence Day. Now, as we all know in America, the national holiday of the 4th of July is Independence Day, but it's quite a controversial subject. Why? Because that doesn't mean that all of us were independent when the rest of America was. And so we're going to be talking about just our views on the holiday, what our families, our cultures, and just our experience has been living in this country and celebrating that holiday. Do we celebrate it? You know, we do get the day off. I do like the day off, but I don't like the reason why. And then in our second half of our show, we're going to be talking about the reemergence of our circuit club culture. As you know, things are opening back up state by state. You know, businesses are coming back. But a lot of clubs, especially here in Los Angeles County, they're no longer here. The pandemic kind of wiped them out. And so we saw a huge reemergence within the last couple of weekends of new clubs and new circuit parties. And so we're going to get into that and talk about, you know, what that kind of life is going to be and how we feel about that. But before all of that, we have to get to one of my favorite segments of the show. What's poppin'? Honey, what's happening in the world? What's going on? What's happening to the children, the kids, the ladies and the gents, and the non-binary people? The first thing on the list that I want to talk about for what's popping is I want to give a congratulations shout out to MJ Rodriguez making history at the Emmys as the first trans individual to be nominated for a leading category. She is nominated for Best Actress in a Drama Series for the Emmys, for this upcoming Emmys. And this is huge news. I mean, I know that a lot of us, the first year that Pose was nominated for the Emmys, we know that Billy Porter took home the win. And there were questions about, you know, why weren't any of the trans leads of the show nominated? And here we are with MJ Rodriguez making history about it. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Carlos, let's start with you.
I'm not really into a lot of pop culture when it comes to actors and when it comes to movies and everything like that, but I do know when there's a progressive move happening, it's really big right there for all of us. Having the representation of a trans individual, especially when it comes to Hollywood and all that big stuff, it's very much needed, whether it's for a trans individual, queer individual, or someone who maybe just, you know, does not identify with either or. I think it's going to be very important for all of us as a community to get really proudful about this, to be really happy about this overall too. Mm-hmm.
Roger, what about you? How do you feel about MJ Rodriguez being nominated for Best Actress in a Drama Series?
Well, first of all, I wanted to share with you that her name is Micaela Antonia, which is my mom's name, Antonia. And so
you
I
gotta
love
go ahead and
that.
go with the government. Yes.
So I love that, first of all. So, for what I know of her, she started doing theater and then she started singing and went to school for singing and stuff like that. And it's just so, it really makes me happy to see our people doing great things out there. And I admire her at the show. It's amazing, so I love Blanca.
Come on, Blanca. House of Evangelista. Nigel, what about you? What are your thoughts on MJ's nomination?
I really thought some of the actors were going to get it last year. I really thought they were going to nominate Angelica Ross for Best Supporting Actress because she was acting last season. Like, she was giving like
with that whole arc in her purse.
The whole arc of her like life trajectory and all that stuff. It was just beautiful. And I know a lot of people were really disappointed last year. So I think it's wonderful. I think MJ Rodriguez is incredibly talented, and I'm really happy that she's finally gotten this opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely have to say that I think the joy for me is it's the first of many, and what a wonderful person to be nominated just for the role that she's played in Pose. For those of you who watch Pose, she's a huge staple in that show, and so for her to be the first trans person to be nominated in a leading category, not just a supporting category, is huge news. And I look forward to all of the future nominations for trans individuals, specifically trans individuals of color. So that's super, super, super dope. But we're going to get into our next topic. Nigel, you have a topic that is it's a little funny to me because it's a little comedic. But why don't you introduce that topic and let's get into that discussion?
So basically, the FDA put out a statement, poppers, basically discouraging people from using them and then warning of potential like health risks and death, which is incredibly valid because poppers are an alkyl nitrite, and what they do is when you inhale them, they dilate the blood vessels in your brain, which affects like the oxygen flow in your head, causing a head rush. Get it?
And what do people use poppers for, Nigel? For those watching who may not know, like, what are these poppers that you speak of? I've never used them in my life.
Well, poppers are advertised as a nail polish remover, first and foremost. But they can be used. Yes, but they're often used as like a stimulant, or either when you're out clubbing, dancing, whatever, or during sexual encounters, because some people like to use them in regards to sex. So
for the layman terms, it loosens your hole, gives you a quick high, and makes sex more enjoyable. Especially if you're bottoming, you can take a lot of penis, no matter the size, without straining yourself. I know a lot of bottoms who use it for that reason.
Right.
Totally.
But it was quite controversial. A lot of the gays were not too happy about that sentiment, even though, it's medically very accurate and valid. So, it's very, pick your own poison, I guess, at least the way I see it. There are, I guess, probably worse things you could be doing, but,
I mean, I know this is getting into the business of y'all, which y'all don't have to answer, but I'm asking because I'm an interviewer, so I gotta get to the thing. Have any of you ever used poppers? Like, have any of you have experience with them?
I have experience with poppers, but I have known that it affects your brain, that it really gives you bad headaches if you use them too much. Mm-hmm. And so then I try to avoid that. But I have in the past. And I tell you, though, there is people that use it all the time, like even to dance, or not just for sex, but to dance or to have fun, which I wouldn't know how you can have fun with the feeling that it gives you, because it just makes your body feel like warm, and it's just not a good feeling for me, at least.
How long does it last?
Like
6 seconds to minutes.
Yeah, like a minute, if anything. Mm-hmm. So you will have to start doing it all night. Like, it's just smell that all night. I know it's too much. So
I know that when I used to go to the bathhouse, that used to be one of the smells that used to irritate me. Like, it just going in and smelling like weed and chemical.
Which you used to go just for work, right?
Outreach. Outreach and let the people know that they can get tested.
So
I'm gonna be honest. Look, I used to go just for fun back in the day before I worked here, but that's my business. Like Tabitha Brown says, and that's just is what it is. Because I know some of y'all are waiting for them to open back up. Y'all know North Pole Spies back up. Back up. I don't know about the Zone LA. Is the Zone LA is that done, Finito? Is it coming back? We don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Roger pleads the fifth.
Right. Carlos, what about you? What are your thoughts on the whole proper conversation?
I know when I was going to school in my undergrad, I was going to a lot of like sex counselors, just to get some ideas of what is safe sex and everything like that. And I even saw a really great counselor who wanted to see me on a weekly basis. And because of her, that's how I came to APLA, because I got to find out what APLA had to offer and everything like that. And then I became an intern here. But one of the things I asked her was, what is poppers and like how does people use it? And then she's like, don't use poppers. Don't use poppers. They're really bad for you. They'll kill your brain cells, especially if you use it a lot. And I'm just like, oh my God, she scared me basically. So I think from that point on, I've tried it maybe like twice. I just got really lightheaded. And then at that point, I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm sorry. So I mean, just one of those things where just like, and then I kept hearing my counselor's voice of just like, brain cells might die. So I'm just like, you know what?
Not the trauma.
Orange juice.
Right, it's like brain cells will die.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you watching, you may not get to see him, but you will hear me say a name quite often. You've heard this name during a lot of our shows. Kwame. Kwame is our producer in the background. You hardly ever see Kwame. You will probably never see Kwame. But I want to give a shout out to Kwame because Kwame is behind the scenes making this work. All of this stuff, all this moving stuff that you see on the screen, that's Kwame's wonderful doing. But I want to get into some of these comments. So Billy Joe Fox said, anything poppers can do, you can do with your mouth and 5 extra minutes. And Billy, I am in agreement with you, boo. I am in agreement with you. Joseph Wallace says being on your knees is a form of worship, according to Beyonce. I'm not gonna go there. And thank you, Joseph, for complimenting the lip. I tried to bring y'all a little something extra today. What does Kai say? Kai says it sometimes makes me nervous when I see others using in other places other than sex, like while they're out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is true. And I think Billy also said that it's also a VHS head cleaner. I'm sure half of our audience probably doesn't know what a VHS is, especially if you're under 25. But just know that it was a way that us ancients who were born in the 1900s used to watch movies. It was a very popular way to watch movies. But moving on, Carlos. We talked about World Hepatitis Awareness Day.
Yes.
And I kind of wanted you to talk about what day that is because it happens this month. And I also want to take a little time for you to kind of explain what hepatitis is and give people some good info.
Of course. So if everybody wants to know, July 27th is going to be National Awareness for Hepatitis Day. Hepatitis is going to be one of the things that's going to be affecting a lot of individuals, whether it's going to be through sex or other bodily fluids. Here in the United States, I really want to make sure that everybody knows July 27th is going to be Awareness Day or month for July. Hepatitis A, I got like my notes here. So for Hepatitis A, some of the things that you could find Hepatitis A in is the sources is going to be through fecal matter. So be sure when it comes to fecal matter, when it comes to oral sex, especially when it comes to rimming or anal sex or anything like that, make sure your partner is going to be clean in order before you go down and under. And when it comes to certain clinics or certain locations, you could always find dental dams. Dental dams, you just put it over the spot and you're able to go wild with your anything at that point when it comes to your oral sex. But just be sure that when it comes to hepatitis A, it's going to be transmitted through fecal matter in itself. For hepatitis B, it's going to be through mostly through also bodily fluids and as well through like drug use. So keep in mind when it comes to sex, hepatitis B can be transmitted through that. When it comes to drug use, it could be through either needles or anything like that and sharing. So keep in mind when it comes to those kind of things, when it comes to sharing needles or anything like that, I would recommend highly not to. If you ever need substance abuse programs or support, we do provide that here at APLA. And we do, and last but not least, for hepatitis C, it's going to be mostly it's going to be right there through blood and bodily fluids. Here at APLA, we do provide hep C treatment and support as well. But that's kind of what hepatitis is overall. It's really going to be prevalent a lot when it comes to just sex, drugs. There is hepatitis D and E, but that's going to be mostly in other locations outside of the US where it's more swampy or humid. While here at APL, here in the United States, it's going to be A, B, and C. Through my notes, I was able to find what are the symptoms when it comes to just hepatitis. And it says something like fatigue, flu-like symptoms, dark urine, pale stool, abdominal pain, and stuff like that. So if you feel any of those symptoms, it's always great to get tested here at APLA when it comes for STIs. And if you ever need hep support, you can always go to your primary care provider. That's kind of it a little bit right there. Do you guys have any questions about hep C?
Well, thank you. I
You
don't
can
have
be
any questions.
vaccinated too.
I just wanted to add that you can also get a vaccine for
That is correct. Yes.
and also in the last maybe 5, 10, or between the last 10 years, I know that there is a cure, not just the treatment that used to be, but there is a cure for Hep C, but not everybody's eligible for it. Like you have to be someone that is a new infection. You couldn't have the treatment before in order for you to get this cure. So I mean, there is always and it affects your body really bad, and so you don't want to get there. You don't want to have to get that treatment or the cure. Yeah.
And also one good important thing to know, if you go to a doctor, if you don't come to APLA, and you ask for any type of panel, Hep C is usually not, or hepatitis is usually not included in that. So you really do have to ask if you want to get that specific test. Same thing with HIV. You have to kind of request an HIV test if you're going to do a panel. But thank you, Carlos, for that information. And Carlos, is there a website where people can get more information if they want to look up more about the hepatitis A, B, and C? Like if they just want more general information?
Yeah, definitely. I saw most of the things when it comes to .gov, when it comes to Hep C there, and I could definitely put a link, and I could share a link with all of y'all regarding hepatitis A, B, and C, and all that fun stuff too. But it's mostly just going to be on like the world.gov health organizations right there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Carlos, for that wonderful, informative information. Last but not least, Roger Child. When Roger emailed me about this story, and this is going to be our last What's Poppin' topic, but I was like, oh my God, this is so dark, but so intriguing. So I'm going to let Roger talk about it and introduce.
Well,
what's your What's Poppin' topic?
This is the thing, though. I have been seeing online on Instagram and Facebook a lot of posts about this mom from UK who killed her husband with boiling water and sugar because she
wanted it to be sweet.
Allegedly sexually abused her kids. So she waited for him to fall asleep, put like 2 bags of sugar in a kettle of water, and just burn him. And so that when he has sugar, the water, then it gets sticky. It's harder to. So the men died 2 weeks or some weeks after that happened. And so people are like, all the controversy is like, so was she right because he abused the kids? Then the police is saying, well, but she had to be like really crazy in order for her to do something like that to this man, right? It was very intentional and all of that. So that's the controversy. And so I've been seeing it a lot, and that's what I thought. Let's bring it up. Let's have a conversation about this. What do you all think?
I feel like when kids are involved as a parent, like you can't quantify like what a parent is going to do in that moment. I mean, granted, you can in a court system, they can be like, oh, well, you had time to think about it and go and turn the stove on and put the stuff in the pot. But this is your kid, and you're finding out this information. Yeah. I mean, I'm on her side.
Yeah, didn't one of the children end up taking their own life because of the sexual abuse as well?
I haven't seen that, read that, but one of the things that caught my attention is that she it doesn't sound like she knew for sure that happened, right? Because all the news said allegedly sexually abused her kids. So I mean, there's that part where you don't really know if that really happened. I mean, as a parent, if my kids tell me that happened, I will believe my kids. So that's it's very controversial because of that reason. And a lot of people are like, you just need to get to be free. She was just defending her kids, which I get that part. You know what I mean? It's just the burning and how she did all when he was sleeping and the sugar and all of that. That's a little scary.
I mean, it ain't nothing that my grandmother didn't do back in the day. She would, we would say, you boil some grits and some hot water poured on. I mean, it's been talked about, but I also want to make note, this did not happen in the U.S. It happened in the U.K., correct?
Yes.
So obviously the laws and things of that nature are very different. So that is something to note. But I will say at the end of the day, those type of situations are a sticky one, no pun intended. Because again, you're a parent, you're trying to protect your kid, and you don't know what snaps in those moments. But I definitely, prayers and love and light go out to the children who were abused, and hopefully she can appeal her case and be released. But say la vida to this man for being an abuser. I don't really have much for that. But we are going to move on. That is it for our What's Poppin' segment of this show. And we're going to get right into our main topic, which is Independence Day controversy. So, if you live in America, you know that the 4th of July is a huge weekend for multiple reasons. For the majority of America, it's a huge weekend because it's the celebration of the Independence Day for Americans in this country, or at least some of them. For others, it's a huge weekend because it's usually Black Gay Pride weekends, which I partook in and I was thoroughly excited about. But we all know that when Independence Day comes around, we get an extra free day off of work. We're all happy about a 3-day weekend. But we want to talk about the actual controversy and the look at the holiday specifically. And so I want to open it up for conversation to everybody. And my first question to you all is, how has Independence Day been embraced or not embraced by the Latin community? Like, do you guys feel like this is like we just look at this and go, whatever, it's National Barbecue Day for us? Or have you heard or experienced like true controversy surrounding this idea of freedom? And we all know not everybody was free.
Right.
Carlos, let's start with you.
Okay. One of the things I really wanted to emphasize is going to be, I just finished the series Lena on Netflix. It's a docu-series and it focuses people in Texas. And one of the things that I've noticed is that the Latin community over there has this big Tejano pride, Chicano pride almost. And I really wanted to delve more into what Chicano pride is. And it basically, for those who don't know what Chicano is going to be someone who was born in America from descent of Mexico. And one of the things I really wanted to see was like, why did Chicanos even come into place? Why was Chicano pride even a thing? And what I realized is that it stemmed from like social opposition and discrimination, predominantly Caucasian, and a predominantly Caucasian American society. And that alone just made me think like, well, what does Chicanos do? What does Chicanos do if they're so proud of being a Mexican American or American Mexican? What does that look like? What does 4th of July look like for them? And then I wanted to see what did Hispanics or Mexicans do when it comes to this overall world history. And I was able to see so much history being made when it comes to just how Mexicans fought for the U.S., were part of a lot of huge American history, but was quote unquote whitewashed out. So when we see 4th of July, we always see it predominantly one specific frame, a picture of the same family. We always see a very barbecue and everything like that, but we don't see all of America. We don't see all of our faces in that America of 4th of July pride. So I think one of those things that we have to realize is that as we are advertising, as we are celebrating these American histories and these American celebrations and holidays, we have to be sure that we're including all colors, and we have to be ensuring that we're including and no longer whitewashing what really has happened in American history. Because American history is not just one color or one phase, it has multiple phases as well. So I think when it comes to just 4th of July, it's fun and then everything like that. But I think per the question, what do Chicanos do? The Chicanos are still prideful of who they are, but that alone says it. Chicano should be also synonymous to American, and we have to change the way that these holidays are celebrated and make sure that we are educated and make sure that we are known of like who was there with us, who are our ancestors who are also like us as well, if that makes sense. And I think once we get to that part where we're learning and we're educated more of these holidays, I think we're going to be able to be more prideful of these like 4th of July holidays and all these different things. Because then, we're no longer excluded. We're no longer seen as like, oh, well, like I'm part of it too. It's more of like, yeah, I've been part of it this entire time. We've been part of it. Like,
one of the things that I hear often is if you are a person of color, if you are a minority in this country, celebrating or saying Independence Day, happy Independence Day, happy 4th, it almost is like saying you're aligning yourself with white supremacy. And I'll be honest, for me specifically, when the 4th of July comes around and I see all these flags everywhere, they might as well be Confederate flags for me. Like it's I don't get a feeling of patriotism. I get a feeling of fear and concern, because it's like, this is not a representation of me. This is not necessarily a representation of my ancestors and my cultures as a biracial Black and Latin individual. So for me, it is very triggering to see that everywhere. And so Nigel, I want to ask you, how do you feel about people, specifically within the Latin community, but just people overall who are a minority, who celebrated and just kind of go along with the get along. Do you think that there's an issue with that, or do you think that there's room to kind of change that dynamic?
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, or at least growing up, like my family and like friends' family, it was more just kind of like, you know, we're gonna barbecue, we're gonna go carne asada and pollo, and we're just gonna like light off fireworks, you know, just kind of like making it our own, I guess, or as close we can. But I mean, in this institution like that, the 4th of July is something like, as you become more and more aware and conscious of like the context of the holiday and what it really means if you're not white and you weren't born in America, it's not really something to celebrate. I mean, I really enjoy the day off from work now, but it's not like I'm ever like, oh, 4th of July.
Like, I enjoy the food and the day off. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I would make my rounds and my plates.
But yeah, people who are really gung-ho about 4th of July scare me, or it's because they're trying really hard to fit in, which I feel like I've seen from certain Latin people who kind of like embrace it, I guess. But like, yeah, if I'm in a neighborhood and I see a bunch of American flags, it's like, I gotta get out of here.
Right, it's that uncomfortability factor. Like, it's that like, I don't know, this can go either way sort of thing.
It's like, I definitely know you own a gun, first and foremost.
The Second Amendment right is in full effect. It's in full effect. Roger, what about you? What do you feel about people who are minorities who celebrate Independence Day?
Yeah, I think the experience is different for everybody, because for first generation Latinos like myself, you kind of like are learning what it means, and you're learning the whole culture, and so don't have the experiences that you might have or the Nigel might have, you know, with the whole flag and the people who celebrate it and how you relate it one to the other and all of that. So for first generation Latinos, we try to understand and learn the culture and be part of it too, you know what I mean? And embrace it and celebrate the fact that we are in a country that allow us to grow and allow us to do a lot of things that we cannot unfortunately do in our countries. And so there is some patriotism from us as well in the way of we're celebrating the fact that this country has allowed us to do all of these things, right? But I completely understand everyone's point today. And so I think that it's just different. It's different for everybody. And I think those people really mean well when they try to be part of the culture and everything that's going on in this country. Yes.
Can I add one more point?
You can add a couple more points. Go ahead.
Just always remember, you know, extreme patriotism or nationalism is incredibly toxic, however you go about it. I think it's okay to be grateful for the freedoms that this country allows you. You should never blindly be devoted to it, because we do a lot of really terrible things as a country. And it's not necessarily the individual's fault. We are very fortunate that we have a lot of luxuries and freedoms, but, you know, be willing to question them and hold the country accountable.
One of the things that I find interesting, and I say this quite often as someone who's traveled and lived outside of this country, it always amazes me how some of the people who say that America is the greatest country in the world, but has never left it. Like, they've never experienced another country, they've never experienced another culture, and all they know about this greatness is what has been taught to us in school books, on television shows, you know, and in movies and TV. America's always like, yes, we say that everything, we're the best. And I know for me, I'll be looking at some of these movies like, I know damn well, if the end of the world came, some of these white folks is not going to be the last one standing. That's just me, you know, not trying to be controversial, but that's just, but I do want to ask to all of you, and I want to start with Roger. With Independence, we know what Independence Day is supposed to mean. We know what the majority of America what the majority of America celebrates it. Do you think there is room for a holiday that can really represent the totality of the people that make up America? Like, instead of Independence Day, like an America Day, where we really celebrate why we're here, the contributions we've given to the country, and kind of representing everyone that lives here. Do you think that there's room for that type of holiday? Do you think that that's just trash? Like, that just is
no. I definitely think that there should be room for that type of holiday. And I think when it comes to my Native Americans friends, and they talk about 4th of July and all of these different dates that celebrate freedom, it's very controversial, and it's almost painful to them. And so there should be another space where everybody could celebrate freedom, real freedom. Yes.
Carlos, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree that there is days that we could definitely make it work. I would even switch up one holiday. We change Columbus Day to, I think it's Native American Day or something like that. Um, I think there's room for there. There's definitely room in the calendar to be changed. I think it's going to be the time to change the face of America. We already saw Chris Evans as Captain America. I really want to see now a brown boy be a Captain America. I really want to see a trans individual be Captain America. I really want to be represented in the America, not as a melting pot, but just making sure that everybody is validated, that every American experience is the American experience because it's America at the end of the day. So I definitely think that there should be a way for us to, maybe this day could be an educational day for us to realize, hey, Asian Americans were always part of American history. Indian Americans were always part of American history. Mexican Americans were always part of American history. All these different ethnic groups must be highlighted, must be emphasized when it comes to America's history because it's not just one phase. It's not the John Smith. We've seen the John Smith, but we have to also emphasize what did John Smith do to America and what were the consequences that happened to American people. You know, I think that's going to be very key. So I definitely do believe that there should be a new day, or maybe make it work. You know, make it work back there in the office. You know, switch some stuff up. We have the colors, we have the ribbons, and all these different things. I think it's time to, as we're going into 2021, there's going to be huge, you know, spark of culture. There's going to be a new spark of everything going on. I think it's our time as millennials, as Gen Zers, to make sure that we are going to be vocal, that we are going to be aggressive when it comes to saying, we need to be seen. I want to be validated. My voice really does matter. Your voice is given to me, but I need to do something change.
Nigel, what about you? Do you feel like there is room for, do you think that there should be another holiday created that really truly represents the diversity of America?
I feel like I'm going to be the downer in this discussion, but for me, I mean,
you can never be the downer. You're just the truth teller.
That all boils down to just like visibility politics for me, and I just don't really see the point in it. At least right now, I don't think right now creating a holiday would really do much. I think any celebration of America in the current context of time in America would be far too rooted in white supremacy, regardless of like trying to frame the narrative. I just think people in power, like there's just too much white supremacy for it to ever be truly representative of any other groups. I mean, maybe it could offer some more visibility, but I don't know if I necessarily see the point in it. Just to, you know, not to be devil's advocate or anything.
You don't have to be. I think it's a very valid point. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that holidays are supposed to bring people together. Yes. You know, that's the idea. But the reality is, that's just not what our country is. Our country is very divisive. Our country is very, you know, segregated, separated, and all of that. And so I think that what you have to, your point and view on it is very valid and very true. My last question before we go into our commercial break, and I do want to hear from everybody. If there was your top 2 holidays that you would just completely get rid of off the calendar, no longer celebrate, just get rid of it, what would they be? And I will go first. Independence Day and Columbus Day. I think it's the dumbest thing ever that we know Columbus didn't discover a damn thing. But yet we still celebrate this man for coming over here and stealing land and manipulating folks. So those will be my 2. Independence Day can go and Columbus Day can go.
I can go next.
Sure.
I'm going to say Columbus Day and President's Day because none of the presidents we've ever had in this country are good people. And they should not be celebrated.
Wow. So I agree with Daniel, but I thought Columbus Day was changed already to
is it like officially?
Native. I think it's officially
because I've heard it's like only in like certain places. I don't think it's like
I know that people recognize it as National Native Day, but I don't know, like in calendars.
I don't think it's like a federal thing.
Yeah, I think it still says Columbus Day.
Okay, so I definitely agree with you.
So Independence Day and Columbus Day for you?
Independence Day and Columbus Day, yes.
Carlos, what about you?
For myself, I'm definitely going to go with President's Day. I definitely agree with Nigel. We have had great history, we have had bad history, and we have had American history. So with that being said, and then for my second one, I want to get rid of Easter. I'm sorry. I don't get out of the calendar. The more we're emphasizing this little religious thing here in America, as mentioned before, when it comes to Nigel, we really need to change this culture of American and tradition reserved. Tradition must be conserved, but it must be also progressive as well. So I think with that being said, get rid of Easter, and get ready to President's Day.
I think we're all old enough to know that rabbits don't lay eggs. So look, I get it. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this first segment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the reemergence of the circuit club scene. How do we feel about clubs opening back up? Are we ready to get out there and party? Or are we still on the fence and a little more cautious, even though we're still in the pandemic? All of that when we come back right after this commercial break.
Are you in need of a quick and easy way to know your HIV status? Swab N Chill is a discreet way to learn your status in the comfort of your own home. The process gives you results in 20 minutes. Swab the upper gums, swab the lower gums, and voila! Simply follow the colorful step-by-step instructions located inside the kit. Or call APLA and we can assist you virtually. In addition, all kits include condoms and lube for that penetrative fun. For our trans clients, we have Swab N Chill Plus, a customizable kit for trans-specific needs. And we haven't forgotten about COVID either. All kits include personal protection gear, like face masks, comfortable yet stylish. A personal touch tool for dealing with those germ-infested handles and ATM keypads. Wet wipes for those little messes that need cleaning up. Also, keep that summer body protected with Swab N Chill sunscreen. And don't forget about our fanny packs for those quick trips to the store. All this can be yours. Simply call Swab N Chill at 323-329-9713 or email us at swabnchill@apla.org. We would love for you to be part of our Swab N Chill family.
Come Swab N Chill with us!
And we are back, yes, to that commercial for Swab N Chill. Shout out to the APLA Health Prevention Division who made all of that possible. Shout out to Nigel. You saw Nigel in there, Kai, Mallory, those wonderful hands wiping up those little messes was our prep navigator, Alexis. So yes, it was a wonderful, great job for everyone. That was beautiful, incredible. Again, if you are somebody that you know is in need of an at-home HIV testing kit, please hit us up at 323-329-9713 or reach out to us via email at swabnchill@apla.org. Now, let's get into the second segment, the side of club, because it's National Barbecue Day with a side of club, and I don't mean a club sandwich. So we know that in June, California officially reopened. Businesses are back open, clubs are reopening. We know that 4th of July weekend, Black Pride happened, and there was huge circuit parties everywhere. This one sitting over here next to me was telling me about all kinds of after party gigs that was going on. How do you guys feel about the reemergence of the club scene? I mean, I know that cities and states are open, but we are still in the middle of a pandemic. COVID has not gone anywhere. What are your feelings about getting back into the club scene? And Nigel, let's start with you.
So personally, I've dabbled a little bit since.
Come on, dabble. What'd you dabble? Give us details. Give us the deets.
When I've been out, I went out of town recently to Atlanta, so I was just out and about there. And I think it's fine as long as you're vaccinated. I've just been following COVID, and I believe about 99% of the cases, at least in LA County, of new COVID cases are from unvaccinated people. So, get vaccinated and you can just go have a kiki with your friends. There's really honestly nothing that beats right now just like going out and dancing with your friends. Like, it was just such a cathartic moment to just be able to like just be there, and it was just so much fun. So get vaccinated and have fun.
Roger, what about you? What is your take on the reemergence of the club scene now that things are open?
Well, for me, it's very interesting because I love to dance. So I always have like to go out and make friends and be social. And then now more after COVID and after being home for so long, But one of the things that's happening with the underground parties is that because we were closed, all these places started opening during the stay-at-home order, and then now that we're reopened, they stay open, and so people still go after the club to these places that stay open after 2 a.m. until 8 a.m. in the morning. And so that's what's happening right now. Yes,
where
that's
are you
what's happening.
You're not gonna just be able to fly over there, baby. Where are you going? Where we stayed open at 8 in the morning and last call at 2 o'clock?
Well, my friend,
after the viewing.
Well, my friend told me. My friend told me that he goes to these places. There are actually different places. West Hollywood, in downtown LA, different places that stay open. That's the schedule they have, And so yes, there are underground parties. I don't know, not necessarily with the sale of alcohol or whatever, but they're still open. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of that going on. I personally, I am enjoying the fact that I can socialize. I've been vaccinated. I tell everybody that I socialize with, like friends, the group of friends that I go out with, I always, ask them or tell them about places where they can get vaccinated if they have not. Like,
you gotta be doing the work while you party.
Okay,
I love it. Yes, get into it. Tell the children what to do.
Yes, plus I don't want people around me not to be vaccinated and to be at risk. I don't want nobody to die of COVID. I don't want to be part of that. Feel guilty that something happened to someone because I was part of that group, right? So yeah, so it's just my way of giving back.
So basically, your outreach. You're doing outreach. You're out there promoting COVID vaccines
exactly.
while you get your little cocktail party together and get your little salsa on the dance floor.
Exactly.
He dances all the child. He will dance down these halls if we let him. Forever, ever in a move. There's a tickle in his feet, and I love it. Carlos, what about you? Were you a club kid prior to COVID? And if so, what are your thoughts on the reemergence of the club?
Oh my God, I love dancing. I love 80s music. My first club was Rage in WeHo, R.I.P. Rage. Oh my God. I used to go when it was Game Boy night, gay Asian men, and I was only listening to a whole bunch of K-pop. So don't even throw me some K-pop right now because it will trigger me. It will trigger me. I love dancing. I love karaoke. I love, that kind of vibe right there. However, for myself, what I don't like is elbow to elbow and sweating on me and breathing on me. I just don't like that. And I've noticed that right now, as the pandemic is, as we're seeing things open up and everything like that, all I'm seeing is just elbow to elbow, could barely move, lines around the buildings. It's just like, really, it's not really that serious. It's just the Abbey. Come on, like, calm down. It's gonna be there next week. It's gonna be there tomorrow. It's not that big of a deal. So I know, right?
But it's Mickey's.
And it already burned down once. So.
I think for myself, like, I always tell my friends before I see them, like, hey, are you comfortable with like areas where there might be people around? Are you comfortable with me? Like, what would you prefer? And, I'm comfortable with myself with, I'll carry my mask around. I'll be sure that I have my hand sanitizer everywhere I go and everything like that. I do my proper measures to make sure that whomever is going to be around me feels comfortable, but I'm still going to have fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing everything. But for myself, like, I was just in Palm Springs last weekend, and we did an Airbnb, and it was just a couple girlfriends, and we were all vaccinated and everything like that. And we were just in the pool, no crowds. We had our own bartender and everything like that, versus being like 15 people in front of me, and then 20 people behind me also, and being like, when am I going to get my soda, So we'll see what happens.
Well, here's the thing. I used to be a huge club kid in my teens and 20s. Like, when I tell you there was not a club in LA that I did not know at least the bouncer to, the bartender to, or the owner to. So needless to say, I never waited in line. I never had to pay for much. Those days are over. Because somewhere in my late 20s, I was like, I'm tired. My body is shutting down. This is too much for me.
Daniel, what are some tips as a young up and coming?
Honestly, at that time, I've always been social. Like, I will talk to anybody. We can have a conversation, have a good time. And that's really just a good way to know people because you never know who does what. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind the reemergence of the clubs and the circuit parties and things like that, you know. But again, I'm at a point in my life where I don't go out as much. If I'm going to a club, I'm usually going because it's a friend's birthday or it's a special event or something. You know, if somebody asks me to go, like I'll go and have fun and live it up. But it's not my go-to thing anymore. But my concern is, like with kids who go to college, when you've lived under a very strict roof, you wild out and you kind of do the extreme because you have the freedom. And I think that my worry is because we have spent a little over a year, being in quarantine and having to do all of these things, that the opening of these businesses and the opening of the circuit parties is almost kind of like free reign for people to go, oh, I can be as wild as I want to be. And they kind of forget we're still in a pandemic. Like COVID is not over. You know, just because things are opening up because states need to make money. Can we be honest with that? Like states are opening up because states need to make money. It's not because COVID is gone. And so that's my biggest concern is like with anything, you navigating life and, you know, you do what you have to do, but you still have to worry about what others may or may not be doing. I'm with you, Carlos. That elbow to elbow breathing on my neck.
And then
like after like not touching anyone for like a year, it's just kind of
I
like.
want you to touch. I mean, look here. If you find and you know,
I only sweat with the right people.
Right, like if you and I'm trying to holler at you, then you can touch a little bit more than the rest.
See, that's why you gotta go.
I need that 6 feet.
You gotta go with homies. You just make your little dance circle and you're good. Perimeter.
Let's see, all of my homies are usually older, so we all dealing with knees and hip problems. So it's more like of a standing circle more than it is like a popping dancing circle. But I'm sure if I went out with Roger, that Roger would have me on the dance floor, and you know my ankles would hurt. But
I would. Yes.
You know it. It is what it is. My second question to you guys is: how do you think that the club scene will change with so many of the business? Like we just said, RP to Rage. Like the pandemic took out a lot of businesses, specifically in the club scene. How do you think that's going to affect this reemergence and things opening? Do you think that, you know, obviously new clubs are going to come, but do you think that people will do more of the underground thing like Roger was talking about? Do you think that we'll see more circuit parties? Or do you think that we'll see brand new brick and mortar clubs kind of pop up and go from there?
Well, I wanted to say that I know that some of the clubs use this time to create like more space in their own places so that they can have more people.
Like renovations and things?
Right.
Okay.
They a lot of places did that. And it was with the idea of, you know, this is going to get packed when we reopen. So let's get ready for it. Right. And so I know that that's already happening. I know that those parties that I'm telling you, they are going to continue and they are going to keep growing. Definitely. They charge at least $50 to $100 to get in these things.
Hold on.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. We got to catch our breath.
Yeah.
How much money?
$50 to $100.
It's like an open bar situation.
Right. Like, is there a free open bar? Like,
they're becoming more exclusive, especially around LA. They're making more pop-up, really cool, showy foods. And that's one of the things I want to make sure that we all really emphasize. It's a lot of showy foods, but when it comes to content, not really happening. So right now, especially like it's happening. I think it was this past weekend, a girlfriend went to a club, I think in Manhattan Beach or Hermosa, and then the boys were being charged $100 to get in. $100 for just your entrance fee. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
So what does that cost? I need to know what that costs with.
Nothing. Just
so
the
I'm
entrance.
paying $100 to get in, and then I still gotta pay for drinks and food.
Yep. Yeah.
See, I can have a party at my house and just go from there. Why the hell?
I'm telling you, and then it's gonna be perhaps elbow to elbow. We could go to it. We could go to it if you want to, but for what?
So this is why my generation went to Griffith Park. Okay, this is why we went to Griffith Park and we was in them woods having a good old time with our little brown bag liquor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not and this ain't even a Pride event weekend.
Can we share with Nigel about Griffith Park? I'm joking, Nigel.
Nigel, are you aware of the Griffith Park?
I mean, I really like hiking there. I don't know anything else.
Okay, well, good for you. Yeah, we used to go hiking too.
That's what we called it back then, right? Don't forget hike.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, a little gay history. Okay, so Griffith Park used to definitely be one of the spots where on any given weekend or even in the middle of the week, we would all gravitate to Griffith Park. We would hang out, we would pregame, and then we would leave Griffith Park and hit up all of the different clubs in WeHo. We had Metro back then. The Abbey was there, Trunks, Fiesta Cantina, Mickey's before it burned down and after. What else was there? Oh my God, what was the club right at Western, right before you got to Griffith
Are you talking
Park?
about the Latino one? No, I don't know.
Across the street from the shopping center. Like if you're driving down Western going up to Griffith Park, there's like a shopping center on the right, and there used to be a club with like pool tables.
Mm-mm.
No, I don't know.
Roger, you're no help. Where's Dante? I need Dante. Dante was what I'm talking about. That is what we did back in the day, and it was bomb. It was bomb. It was
Wow.
really, really bomb. So my last question for you guys is in regards to the whole club thing. If you had a club, like if you could create your own club, given everything that you know about COVID, the community, being a person of color, being part of the Latin community, if you had the opportunity to build out a club experience, what would your club be and what would you call it? Roger, I'm gonna go with you first.
I don't know what I would call it, but I just know that I will, like with the prices that they have now in clubs, like I will be like, I should have my own room for whoever I want in this party, and whoever I don't want in this party, they should be in their own rooms and pay their own fees, kind of a thing. Yeah, come on. If I like you, yeah, you can come in here, but you have to pay too, so kind of a thing. And it would be kind of cool with the whole COVID thing, you can have your own people that that are vaccinated and invite other people that you might don't care if they're vaccinated or you ask them if they're vaccinated. I don't know. It could be something like that and have your own music, that'd be actually pretty cool. I think I'm gonna open my own club.
Come on,
called the Rogers.
Yes, call it Rogers. Rogers Place.
There you go.
Swinging Rogers.
Where you going? I'm going to Rogers Place, honey, because the drinks is always stacked. Yes, and the bartenders is cute. Yes, I love it. What about you, Nigel? If you had a club, what kind of club would you have and what would you name it?
Well, considering COVID, some open air space, good ventilation, mandatory vaccination to enter. And just
come on, we showing vaccination cards at the door.
Yes.
Your phone now, you can show the little thing on your phone. So, and all the good like Latin music, all the good hip hop, all the good R&B. Because in WeHo now, I don't know what it was like back then, but like there are a lot of places in WeHo that play very abysmal music. So I think we should bring back the variety. I'm trying to throw some ass. I'm trying to get down.
Okay, throw some ass. Okay, I need some good music. I can't do this little abysmal 1-2 step.
Mm-hmm.
What would you call it, Nigel? What would your club be
Me and
called?
my friends have this like running joke about opening a club, and then it's kind of crude though. The name is a Chateau Faggot.
I am dying on the inside of my soul. I am dying. Kwame said that he is on the floor. Knowing our community, that might work. I don't subscribe to the word. That word is not a representation of it.
Right.
But spelled like baguette.
I don't think it really matters. Carlos, if you had a club, what would your club be and what would it be called?
Definitely, as mentioned before by Nigel, it has to be having outdoors. It has to have good ventilation. I would really want it to be kind of beachy, a beach club. I love a little bit of a tiki room or anything like that. I really want it to be kind of spaced out, obviously. I really want it to be by section. And each section could be divided by umbrellas or, per the theme. So I would really like a really fun, like, flamingo theme in one section. I would really want a whole tiki theme on another section. I really want a floral theme in another section. Things like that where it's separated. It's going to be, outdoors. Maybe it could be in a circle. So every theme is going to be connected within the circle at that point. And at that point, you could just get your drinks, get your food, and just leave. That'd be really fun. It could be called like umbrellas. I don't know. Temas in Spanish for themes. And I think at that point, it would just be really fun and sexy. And it'd just be very safe. People will be, in your own group, in your own space, in your own area. And if you want to get out, you could always get out. You could always go to check out another spot. But at that point, just make sure you have the space. And it's VIP, RSVP only, baby.
Oh, come on. You have to call to make a reservation.
You got to know the name. You have to know the secret word, secret passage, and know the right person to get in.
No, this is a lie. I don't know if I would be able to get in the car. I wouldn't know all them people.
And no 5 brothers and bring 3
I know.
girls.
You're going to be given a key, and each key for each room, you have to be invited to be in there per restaurant and club.
This is a lot of requirements. Carlos is a little complicated to get in. There's too many steps.
I'm going next door.
That's fine. That's fine.
I definitely think, right. I definitely think if I had a club, it would be more lounge. My club would be more so live music. I would like live bands. Definitely open space kind of thing, but I would like a huge tree literally in the middle of my club with a bar surrounding it. Some hookah going on in one section. Nice little, I'm all about the vibe. I'm all about the vibe. And as far as what the name would be, it would definitely be called Diva J's. So when you come to Diva J's, you're going to get a very elevated, elegant experience. And that's actually a dream of mine, is to open my own kind of like supper club one day. So fingers crossed. But as we have 2 minutes before the end of this show, I want to thank everybody for viewing, for tuning in. As always, we're here every Tuesday at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. But before we get out of here, I want to get your final thoughts on this one lasting question, or this statement rather. Businesses are open. We're still in the middle of COVID. What is your one sentence advice to people as they go and re-enter the world and trying to have fun? And Carlos, let's start with you.
I think it's going to be respect. I think respect is going to be very much needed. We have not had interactions with others. We haven't seen a lot of people. I think it's just kind of recentering ourselves and having respect for the place that we're in, the people who we're with. I think that's very much needed, because all I'm seeing right now is just on social media. All I'm seeing is like outbursts of people just being disrespectful to the bars, to the workers, to everybody. I'm just over it. So I think when it comes to human and being respectful, I think it's going to be time for us to just remind ourselves and be patient with one another that there's not that many people and workers out there. There's not that many employees, and restaurants. There's not that many things going on. So I would really keep in mind that be patient, be respectful of one another, and be safe.
For me, I think it will be more of just be safe in the way of, as you know, I'm harm reduction, big on harm reduction. So reduce your risk by getting vaccinated, by protecting yourself, doing all the things necessary that you need to do. That's pretty much it for me. Yeah.
Just go out there with an open mind, have some fun, kiss a stranger. You never know who you'll connect with.
Yay!
And if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated so we can have our new normal. That's it.
My one piece of advice is just be wise. Think about not only yourself, but think about others. Do what you can to keep everyone safe. And as long as you're doing that, I'm sure that there is plenty of room to have as much fun as you possibly can. Once again, I want to thank all of our viewers. I want to thank my co-hosts for this wonderful episode with the National Barbecue Day and the Side of Club. Make sure that you tune in every Tuesday at 4:30 for the Link. And of course, the Link LatinX will be here every second Tuesday of the month. So make sure you come back next month, because we have some very interesting topics that we're going to talk about next month. And we're going to give you all of the good, great flair that we have, because we're fabulous. Duh. If you want information on any of the services or programs that we offer here at APLA Health, you can go to aplahealth.org. And until next time, I am Daniel. This is Nigel. That is Carlos. That is Roger. We are your hosts of the Link LatinX, and we love you. Bye. Bye.